What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Emilio in Tennessee. We got Jacob in Wisconsin. As Fred McFarley says, PTA Possums Unite here. Gents, how we doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Good. Yeah. How about you, Emilio? How was your day?
I'm happy Jacob got here in time, man. I know he was running late.
How many times are you going to come to my press conference late?
There was a problem at his presser tonight, man. That somebody set like way too many alarms. Matt was not happy in his presser. Did you see that, Jacob?
I did not. I had to scramble to get here. I made it just in time to see Emilio stuffing his face full of meat. I'm not even lying. Clayton can attest. That's not a joke, is it?
I did witness that myself, but
some salami and cheese, Jacob. Okay, but
that being said, listen, I think there's no better way to segue into giving a shout out to the folks over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since '92, specializing in Packers tickets. They are Wisconsin's largest ticket source with offices next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. Just click on the link in the video description. That'll send you to theticketking.com where you can register for free as a customer. Go ahead and start shopping for you Packers tickets. Again, that is Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. We appreciate them supporting the show. It was everything I had not to look at. Did you guys see me look away? Literally, I was staring off. If the listeners knew the crap that I deal with running this show, it's unbelievable.
It's probably not even that bad. It's like a 3. It's like a 3.
It's probably not even that bad. All right. So, man, we had some news drop today as the practice squad is starting to take shape. To the best of my knowledge, it's not completely formed yet. Is that correct, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Kind of the bottom of the guys. Sound like there were several players that did get signed that obviously kind of caught the Packers off guard a touch. So we will hit on as much of that as we possibly can. The goal will be another 2-hour show here. So everybody settle in, crack open a cold one. And, we appreciate y'all making us part of your evening here. First things first, we got us a new kicker, gents. Obviously the news yesterday was Anders Carlson cut. Kind of thought maybe he'll go to the practice squad. Goody stomped that out earlier today, basically talking about, hey, look, they're just not going to – as of right now, it's not in the works to bring him back on the practice squad. So you kept Greg Joseph, although many of us were kind of like, is he really the kicker? Are they waiting for, the cuts to happen? That's exactly what happened. So the Packers claim kicker. First of all, let's give a shout out to Josh Vallanningham. Thank you so much, sir, for gifting the memberships. I did find out that we can compile that list of the YouTube memberships as well if we want to put them in together on the giveaways. I just need to talk to the guys to see if that makes sense. But with that being said, thank you so much, Josh. We appreciate you, pal. So the Packers claim kicker Braden Narvison. This came from our good buddy Rob Westerman over at Green Bay Packers Daily. Says Packer claim the kicker. Welcome to Titletown, Braden Narvison. Now, many people said, who? Right? And when you go and kind of dig into the stats, into the preseason stats, guy looking kind of nice, gents. To be honest with you, it wasn't perfect, but there's no, contrary to popular belief, there's no perfect kicker out there. I know many people like to try to convince themselves that there is, other than Justin Tucker and maybe Harrison Buckner. But so Braden Narvison, this came out from Lily Zhao, I think is how you say her last name. I apologize if I butchered it. Braden Narvison has a big leg with this 59-yard field goal. I'm not going to play the video. You guys can go watch it on Twitter. Hit a 59-yarder, and I believe this was in the preseason this year, correct, gents?
Yes.
We got Coach Len throwing meat missiles out here. It's a good day.
So the other thing I seen, there was a video of him in pregame warm-ups hitting a 65-yarder. So
that's
my
crazy.
man has got a leg. Now, it said this preseason he was 6 for 7 on field goals and 2 for 2 on extra points. If I remember correctly, too, the field goal that he missed, I think was a 54-yard or something like that. It was well over 50 yards. So it's obvious the Packers are trying to get a little bit better field goal percentage there inside the 40-yard line mark to kind of capitalize on points. Because, I mean, they lost a game or two last year because we were missing kicks from that range. Not going to put it all on Anderson. Obviously, in several situations, the Packers took a crucial sack and lost 8, 9, 10 yards and made the field goal much more difficult. But since the last year at NC State, he was 18 of 23 on field goals. Extra points, 38 of 38. Was also 196 of 196 on extra points in his entire college career. So
is that good? What does that mean?
I don't know. Is that good?
High score?
Let's throw it around here, gents. Let's start with you, Jacob. What do you think about the kicking signing, man? You called this, right? You talked about it several episodes ago. Hey, let's wait for a team to cut somebody and go out and sign someone. Here they are, man. So they definitely went your route, man.
I'm not gonna say that I called this. Okay. I honestly don't have any pleasure in even being quote unquote right, because I wasn't right. I just was guessing. I'm honestly pretty shocked. I will be honest. Like I in no way, shape, or form actually thought that they were going to get rid of Anders. And I in no way, shape, or form thought they would then get rid of Joseph. And then in no way, shape, or form thought they would just hire some random schmo that is a backup from Tennessee. I mean, whatever's going on in Tennessee, Matt LaFleur must be talking over there, because we've been sharking quite a few other players lately. I'm not mad about the signing. It is a head scratcher just in certain ways, because we feel like we know what's going to happen. And then lo and behold, this was another signing or 53-man cut down. I say day, but it was maybe, 2 or 3 days where we're all just kind of like, whoa, okay. All of our expert analysis kind of went out the window there, didn't it? I like the potential here. I was mistaken, because I thought the biggest knock on this guy was he was basically automatic under 40, but it was kind of like a question mark once you get into the bigger stuff. And I kind of thought, well, that means he doesn't have a long leg. It looks like he's got a really long leg. He's just maybe not as accurate as, hey now. He's maybe just not as accurate as we would like once it gets basically past 40 yards. But because what was it? I could be incorrect, but I thought that it showed once he was past the 40 or something like that, he was only 4 for 12. Maybe I'm reading that wrong somewhere, but I don't know, dude. It seems like we went the opposite of the Anders Carlson. It's like we got a guy that's maybe iffy for the stuff that's quote unquote a gimme kick, but he could maybe boot it from 70. Whereas this guy seems like, I'm going to get you everything within the 20. I'm going to get you everything within the 40, basically. And so,
I was trying to pull up. I think it was Andy Herman that talked about his ability to kick. And again, we got a small sample size, right? Because it's just preseason. But yeah, I'm not going to take too much time to dig in. How do you feel about it, Emilio? Let's get your take, and then we'll hear what Brian Gutekunst had to say about the kicking position.
Yeah, the 196 for extra points is nice, but it's still from the 2, right? So I'm happy that he's got a consistent leg in that manner. But Matt was talking about how he's never really been a part of it, something like this where they're just kind of running it down to the wire like that. But they asked him, what's it like bringing in a new kicker or and getting along with the team, moving forward, learning everything. He goes, he just got to come in and kick. And I think the guy was asking about quarterback, but the same manner applies. I mean, the dude's going to come in and kick, and that's why they brought him in. We carried Greg Joseph through cut downs, and then decided this dude was the way to go. Don't have a problem with it as long as he comes in and just does his job.
Yeah, absolutely. Give a shout out real quick to Scott Powell. Just became a YouTube member here on the channel. Appreciate your support and stream, sir. Thank you so much. Let's see what Goody had to say. This is just a real quick clip, and he was kind of asked about the process, I believe it was, and I had tweeted out, General Manager Brian Gutekunst confirms Braden Narveson will be their kicker week 1, and Alex Hill will be on their practice squad. Just kind of, like I said, just a quick little soundbite from General Manager Brian Gutekunst.
Guys, are going to be some sort of competition there?
I mean, so I think obviously Narveson will be on the active, and then Alex Hale will be on the practice squad. So we'll have 2, but right now we're going to go with Braden.
I guess we're back to the crappy audio again, but hopefully you guys and gals heard that. Just talking about they're going to move forward with Braden Narveson as their kicker. He did say in that same interview wasn't planning on bringing Anders Carlson onto the practice squad. And he said that they will have Alex Hale on their practice squad, though he's going to be that international player to the best of my knowledge. So there you go. So Blake B in the chat says Narveson was only 78% in college over 7 seasons. So there you go. We'll see how it shakes out here, gents. And again, go ahead,
Coach Lynn had a great point here. He goes, I guarantee no other team in the NFL has had 3 players signed to different teams and make the 53-man roster. Am I wrong? I'm not going to say you're wrong, but the 49ers were the only other team that had 3 claimed as well. So that goes to show, I believe I shared a post from, I can't remember who exactly it was, but basically it's an indication that you have an absolute bomb roster if you got guys that are getting poached, and that many. We talked about it, how basically 26 guys out of last year's free agent basically free agent market after they made the final cuts was like 26 out of 1,100 guys or whatever kind of thing. If you call 6 of them were either Green Bay Packers or 49ers, I think it's clear that means we have a pretty good talent acquisition team.
Yeah, absolutely. All I was going to say with that was, the 49ers, but you said we had 4, right, Jacob?
I thought we had I know for sure we had 3. We might have.
I could have sworn Matt said in his interview that there was 4, and which is even crazier. Like you said, that
I know it was DeBose, Ant Johnson, and Welch, right? And then there was another one though. You're right. Freaking Rolls-Royce Newman got signed by the Bucks. Yeah,
Rolls-Royce Newman. Let's go ahead and hit those chats if you haven't already, Jacob. We'll go ahead and clear up what you got here, big dog.
Yeah, Josh, I don't know what you're doing today, man, but you are on one. He's giving gifts out like Oprah.
Thank you,
so I appreciate that very much. Oh, there he just did another one. He's going more. I appreciate that. The Hip says Chicago asked Torrey to bring his Green Bay playbook with him. If you guys don't know about that, Mr. Samori Torrey. Oh, that's another one. Went to the Bears. So, okay. People are cleaning up our I don't want to say. I'm not going to say. I know what you were wanting to say. I'm not going to say nothing bad about Torrey. I love that guy very much. John Schmidt says, I think MLF Matt LaFleur said something about having 4 players claimed was a new thing for him. Speaks to the depth of our roster. Again, we just covered that. I think it might even be more. Deadfish says, why did the Titans cut him, referring to the kicker? They had another kicker on that roster that was booting the heck out of the ball. That's basically the long and short of it. So any other ones for you guys? That's pretty much it for the comments at the moment.
Go ahead, Emilio. Anything you want to add there, bro?
No, I think we kind of hit on it. We snagged a couple Titans players, and we go play in week 3. So I hope it comes out on top, right? That's going to be a good gameplay.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. All right. So the Packers were actually back at practice today. Wes Hokowitz had tweeted out a video. A couple other people did as well. So you can kind of see Matt LaFleur here in this quick little clip dabbing up Malik Willis. I don't know if you guys got a chance to hear him as a locker. I know, Emilio, you've been watching interviews. I could hear you there before we went live pre-show. What do you think about what you've heard about Malik Willis so far? I know he's in a perfect world. We won't see him take a single snap this year, right? And I know the chance that obviously Sean Clifford is going to be the backup is what it sounds like the plan is until Malik Willis gets up to speed. And who knows, maybe at that point they cut Clifford. I don't know. I think it would be smart to keep him on the practice squad, seeing that you got 16 spots there too. So
Matt was kind of talking about how there's just a little bit of crossover between a couple of coaches down the line that had trained him up. But he's like, honestly, at this point, we're just going to try to translate it to him. Like he's learning a new language. He knows the concepts and things like that, but it might be called something else. So we need to kind of get those, terms and everything squared away. Matt said, he's a smart guy. In the beginning of Malik's interview, just thanked everybody, thanked the Titans, thanked the Packers, stand up way to come in to Green Bay and start answering questions. But Matt, the other thing he said was if, he was asked if he'd be able to be the backup week 1, right? Like that he'd learned enough. Matt said the thing that, could make it possible is like the playbook's going to get shrunk down for that week, right? You're going to set in your whole idea of what we're going to do against the Eagles to succeed in beating them. And if he can hammer those out, there's a possibility he's number 2. But I would say just kind of let him get his peanut under him and go from there.
Got it. You go ahead and hit on those chats if you want, Jacob. I think I'm eager to see. Did we see where Pratt went? Did you hear Jacob by chance, or is he still unsigned?
So, the reason I highlighted that was because I was hoping that somebody would let me know. I've been trying to watch my phone all day, but so much is coming, it's like drinking from a fire hose. So I was going to ask. John Schmidt posed the question, where did Pratt go? I don't know. Ron Sanville poses another question.
Just found it. Here we go. We got breaking news 7 hours ago.
He says, so did Pratt have an attitude problem? I saw somebody said Tampa Bay. Is that correct, Clayton?
That is correct. Yeah, the Bucs are signing former Tulane quarterback Michael Pratt to their practice squad. Pratt was the number 3 quarterback in Green Bay and was released. The Bucs were interested in Pratt as a late day 3 pick in the 2024 draft. Pratt replaces John Wolford as QB3 in Tampa Bay. So Pratt definitely going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That one stings a little. They signed someone else too, didn't they? I think, was it Royce Newman they signed? Maybe.
Yes, they signed Royce Newman. That honestly might be the best possible scenario for Michael Pratt to become a starting quarterback in this league. If you think about what they got over there in Tampa Bay, they got, Baker, who's going to maybe give him another year or 2, I would say tops. And he's got a pretty decent, I would say, coaching tree there where he can hopefully develop a little bit. I don't know. I'm pulling for Michael Pratt. I think it was I don't quite understand the move. I don't, whatever. I'm not going to hate on it. This is the time of year where everybody thinks they know what they're talking about. Yeah. And we overreact to certain things. And then midway through the next season, we're all like, oh, I always liked the Malik Willis signing. I don't know what you're talking about. So that's So that's why with my whole kicker thing, I was like, Dad, I lucked into that one. I was just speaking out of my butt. And yeah, it was.
Well, I love in the chat here, Fred McFarley said Josh Straight making it rain tonight as Josh Vallandigham with another 5 memberships.
Yeah, are you trying to do this on purpose, Josh? Or?
I hope he hasn't been on the whiskeys, but I'm worried about. You know what I mean? He's just over there. It's yeah.
Well, I was eating some peppered bourbon cheddar right there. That's what Jacob was making fun of me, but
that sounds amazing, actually. Peppered
bourbon cheddar.
Man. I don't
put it on the grocery list, Jacob.
Jacob's like, I'm not touching it. Not touching it. I'd never have it a cannoli.
I love it. So Turtle says, I like 24 on Valentine. If you guys may not have heard, Carrington Valentine is now wearing the number 24. So
Malik's wearing number 2, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct. Malik Willis is wearing number 2. So it's going to be fun to see how this team kind of shapes up, man. You got a couple of new faces here, obviously, with Malik Willis and then and the new kicker. It's going to be really cool. Now, another player that got stolen away from us, I guess you could say, was our buddy Grant DeBose, right?
No.
That one hurt. That one hurt kind of bad. So this was Brian Gutekunst. He was actually asked, and I apologize for the volume, guys. You can see I've got it cranked up. There's nothing more I can really do. General Manager Brian Gutekunst talks about how difficult the decision was for the Packers to cut wide receiver Grant DeBose with how well he, Bo Melton, and Malik Heath all played this camp. Let's see what Brian Gutekunst had to say, and I want to get your all's reaction to one of our favorite players of the 2024 training camp, obviously, in Grant DeBose. But here's Brian Gutekunst.
I think at the end of the day, some of the things that Malik and Bo did just made more sense for us at this time. At the same time, if we would have kept Grant, again, he earned it. He deserves to be somewhere, and I'm glad he's getting the opportunity in Miami.
How much of that was special teams?
Yeah, it's definitely part of it. I mean, first of all, the thing I love about Malik is obviously all those guys are excellent. They do the grinding, the dirty work, the blocking. They're all willing to do that. They're tough as nails. Malik's got a very unique ability to make plays when it matters. Balls in the air, it's kind of his. He has a great ability to go attack the football, make tough catches. he's been a playmaker from college to the moment he got here. And I think he's just a very reliable player when it matters.
All right, so there you guys heard him mention it. He mentioned special teams and was pretty vocal about it. I think special teams is what kept Grant DuBose off this roster. Where did he sign? You guys remember? Was it Miami? Am I thinking right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
that also coincides with apparently Odell Beckham wasn't going to be on the active roster. He's on the PUP, so they were a little bit shallow in there. I mean, he is a top 4 receiver, I think, on most teams, which it's tough. I'm not happy that we lost him, but I'm happy for him just as far as where I think that he might actually have a decent NFL career now because he gets a better shot than he would at Green Bay. But like J. Cole said, best of luck to him. I think that this fan base is pretty good, that we're not bitter. Some stuff we are. Don't get me wrong. Nobody's forgot about the freaking what are the biggest ones we always remember of? TJ Watt, and the Kevin King thing, and obviously we have a few of our fan base. Yeah, yes, exactly.
Nobody mentions that one anymore, though. Now that we got a $220 million quarterback, right? They're like, let's just not talk about that.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, like John says here, he goes, Miami is a great fit for DuBose. Best of luck. I agree. Mm-hmm. I hope it works out. And Emilio brought up a good point the other day, where we looked at how many active ex-Packer players are actually still around, floating around the league. That was kind of fun to just take a peek at, So, Kevin King did get cut by Atlanta, so is what it is. But
there you go. All right. Another thing that came down the pike earlier today, obviously we talked about Aaron Mosby making the team, and I know Jacob was happy that his boy Brenton Cox Jr. made the roster as well. And we're going to talk about the entire practice squad here in just a second. I just want to hit on this first and get some of these Goody comments out of the way. Aaron Mosby this preseason, this is from PFF Green Bay Packers, 86 PFF grade, had an 81.9 pass rush grade, 1 sack, 4 pressures, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble. This dude, we talked about Christian Welch doing pretty much everything he could, and I still believe that. Aaron Mosby right there on that list as well. And I think it just shows you, if it did come down to do you want to keep Mosby or do you want to keep Welch? Obviously, this is a tier 1 of importance position right here, right? There's no two ways about it. Edge defender and a 3 tech on the interior are your top priorities on defense. But it was pretty cool because Brian Gutekunst actually talked about him today. And more specifically, he had mentioned how he feels like the shift from the 34 to the 43 really made him kind of pop off the screen on the tape. It says, and I tweeted out, Green Bay Packers general manager Brian Gutekunst talks about how Aaron Mosby adapted very well going from a 34 outside linebacker to a 4-3 DN. Crank that volume, gang. Here's Goody talking about Aaron Mosby.
Brian, what's your reaction to Aaron Mosby's finish to the preseason and also him being able to make that jump?
Yeah, really proud just of the way he's progressed. He was, when we first got him, he's a little bit of a tweener. He's an inside backer, he's an outside backer in our old scheme. And then as we moved into the 4-3, we put his hand down and he really kind of took off. And you got to give him a lot of credit. He's put a lot of work into it. And really, not only as an edge rusher and his ability to rush a passer and do all the things we're asking him to do on the defensive line, but in special teams as well. His ability to kind of play multiple spots there, just play it well. And then he produced. He just did a really nice job producing. Kept getting better each week, and showing up in practice, showed up in the games. Excited for what he was able to accomplish this camp.
There you go. So obviously they seen something on tape from Aaron Mosby. I mean, obviously he balled out that last preseason game, but sometimes that happens. It's rare that you'll take someone who is kind of a tweener, like he was saying, of is he an inside backer or an outside backer in the 34 defense, and then you go to a 4-3, you would think, all right, there's just as much chance of Aaron Mosby to be a stack backer as there is to be an edge defender or a defensive end. They put him at defensive end, and he just took off. So I'm really eager to see if this is just a flash in the pan, him going against the 2s and the 3s, or if this is a guy that's actually going to contribute this year. Because there are some people, I was listening earlier today, some people believe he may have passed up. He has an opportunity to pass up Kingsley Enagbare on the depth chart. That kind of blew me away. some people believe he's ahead of Brenton Cox Jr. right now. Now it's, can he pass Kingsley and Igbare? So, but Emilio, when we talk about switching from a 34 to a 4-3, and again, we're just talking base, so that's really the only thing that changes. Typically, you're playing one gap out of the nickel 2-4-5 or the nickel 4-2-5, whichever it is. What do you think about what Goody had to say there with Mosby as Jacob continues to be pissed off at me that I mentioned that he may have leapfrogged Brenton Cox Jr.?
Yeah, well, I like you said, I think he performed. He showed out. I think going to that 3-point stance really helped him. You think about it, sometimes when you're standing up, you kind of do a double bounce off your heel sort of thing. Michael Lombardi was talking about it the other day, that Al would freak out if he saw a DN that was leading with his left foot, right?
Right.
Because he's like, when have you ever seen a sprinter start off with his left foot? You lose half a step. That's why they're all starting out with the right foot. So maybe him being down in that 3-point stance, being able to explode out of there, really allowed him to take off. And I'm happy he made the roster. If he's a difference maker, we needed as many as we can get on that defense, and just let him eat back there.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys and gals would take a quick second, hit that like button for us. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Channel's going absolutely nuts right now. If you like this kind of content, we go live pretty much daily, other than Fridays during the high school football season. But we appreciate y'all spending time with us here. Go ahead, Jacob. What do you think about Mosby, and go easy on the kid, all right?
Hey, man, I like Mosby. Obviously, if he's going to start competing with my man Brenton C. Jr.
Look at you mature.
Yeah, man, I'm trying, bro. We're monetized. So I like what we've seen from him. I think that it is fair to say that when you came down to whether or not a guy like Christian Welch, who you'd maybe see in a really, it'd take a lot of situations happening where a lot of injuries would have to occur, or some crazy special team stuff where he'd actually be an impactful person on this team. And the fact that he was just a little bit up there in age, I think Mosby he played too good, like we just said, for him to get snubbed. And I think that you can argue that definitely between him and and a guy like Welch, it's like, I think a fifth string, even sixth string rotational edge defender is more valuable than a fifth string middle linebacker, if that makes sense to you guys. You know what I mean? Like, because there are situations where if guys are gassed, or if they just need some new longs, or they need some new legs, they're throwing them in there, especially if it's like a 3rd and long, and they're like, hey, we know you can do, go show us.
Stay off the damn weed.
Exactly. So, you know,
somebody said lungs. I don't know. I'm just checking in. Let's hit the chat, Jacob. See what the listeners are saying right now, man.
Yeah, Dennis is coming in hot. Goes, Mosby's game transformed on. He put his hand on the dirt. I think you meant when. Right. And that's kind of what you were talking about there, Clayton. He does seem like that's more of that track stance. He's catapulted out of that, and it's fun to see. You know, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty confident with him and guys like LVN, Preston, and Gary. Like, I think it does help their game. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I always thought that I didn't like the way that Gary had that 2-point stance where he was just kind of like ninja pose, where I'm like, I feel like he has no momentum. By the time he hits that tackle,
how dare you?
The tackle's just kind of like, to me, it makes more sense where you want that dude shot out of the dirt like a cannon. That's my opinion. Any comment on that, Emilio? I see you over there grinning.
Yeah, runners don't start their stance standing up, right? So I don't know where he's getting his explosion. When he said that, dude, that hit, I was like, man, definitely,
I've never seen the Olympics where Usain Bolt starts up like this.
Right, exactly. So, and then you lose how much power when you're standing up like that. When you're trying to set the edge, you could set the edge by sending the tackle 1.5 yards back. But if you're standing up, you're giving up that. You could give up that 1.5 yards, no problem.
Yeah, and the thing too, like, the whole point of them standing up as outside linebackers, when that really took off, was in the 90s with Blitzburg, with Dom Capers in Pittsburgh, and he had Kevin Green and Greg Lloyd. And the goal was you would rush one second and you rush the other the next snap. Like you were constantly making the offensive line adjust and be ready for the blitzer to come off either side. And the other guy was dropping into coverage. Now, it's easy to criticize that looking back because, without taking into consideration in the 90s and even the early 2000s, you had a lot more 21 and 12 personnel, which would trigger your 34 defense, right? So even on those early downs, it was very seldom that people would go to 3 wide receiver sets on first down. So you had an opportunity that if the team wanted to pass on first down out of those base formations, I guess you could say, with 21 and 12, then you could really put stress on the offense. One, them not knowing how to set the protection and where the blitz was coming from. And two, you running that fire zone blitz, making the quarterback really have to dig deep on post-snap reading. So the problem that we had with it, in my opinion, and again, it's not like this defense was horrible last year. They were, 12th in scoring, I believe it was, 12th in scoring defense. So you were right on the cusp of being top 10 in scoring. I'm really eager to see how much this defense improves, because if it jumps 3 or 4 spots, it's going to make a world of difference. It really is, as far as the win.
And I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard a stat, I think it was on The Athletic today, talking about that the defensive front 4 was top 3 in pass rush from last year. And that honestly surprised me a little bit after I was thinking, but if we could even get a smidge better than that with our front 4 this year, that's going to be unreal. And letting Hafley, do what he does, and having the linebackers in the secondary to back that is what's all going to come together.
Right. And what I was getting to there with that point too was like, we began using that 34 jam as we're just bringing 5. We're bringing 5. We're bringing 5. So there was the only time that we would drop an outside linebacker into coverage and the fans would lose their minds. But we would do it when they would flex a receiver on that side. You're like, okay, we need to get someone in that throwing lane to take that hot read away real quick, right? So you would just, in many cases, they would just cheat him out there. There's no manipulation there at all. So you're losing that surprise factor when it comes to doing that. So, it's just a change in the times is part of it too. It'll come back around. I guarantee you, everything always comes back around. I remember when the Wildcat took off there in the late, right around 2009, 2010. You remember when Wildcat just went nuts?
Remember Reggie Bush kind of reinvented that, didn't he?
Yeah, and you had what was it? I think Cadillac Williams was running it too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you had Ronnie Brown in Miami. He was like the master at it down there. So that stuff coming back, it's like that is old school football. That was smash mouth football, like the ball snapped to the quarterback and you're running. These are designed quarterback runs. Is essentially what the Wildcat was. Now they were manipulating the defense by flexing the quarterback out. So when you would go into the huddle, you were showing 11 personnel, and then you would come out and it's like, there's no chance he's passing right here. Or even if he is, someone has got to be on the quarterback, and God forbid it be on and they would try to strategically line up the quarterback on the side of the better corner. If that corner didn't travel in man coverage, think like Richard Sherman, you put a quarterback out there, you just isolated one of, if not their best defensive players, with the quarterback standing there with his hands in his pockets, not going to do anything. So It's all about hat count. It's all about gaining a hat. And that's one way you could do that. And then you would kind of ISO the run with the Wildcat. So that stuff is old school smash mouth football that came around, and it's already gone again, right? You remember, I'm going to give y'all some PTSD here. You remember Colin Kaepernick, San Francisco, running all over the Packers, right? That read option, some of that, if I remember correctly, they ran pistol. That caused McCarthy to go to college football and talk to the best defensive minds in college football. Go, how are you guys stopping this zone read? Because I can't figure it out, right? And really the answer was attack the mesh point. Well, as you start to attack the mesh point, guess what has evolved now? The RPO game. So it's just this constant, revolving door of certain styles of offense that gets hot, and then other cases it's not. So it comes and goes. But Greg Rice, how dare you, Clay? Hey, man, it still hurts me. I refuse to go back and watch that. Golly, man. The highlight of the game for me, and I know he got penalized for it, was Clay Matthews just saying, "The hell with this! I'm going to hit this dude way late out of bounds."
Yes.
Get your money's worth, Clay, because nothing's working, bro. Just go ahead and get you a shot. So let's go back to the chat there, Jacob. I know you got several more.
Yeah, I just want to clear these out real quick. These are kind of going back to some other topics we covered earlier. White 009 says Miami is going to use him. That's being granted Bose because they only really run 2 wide receivers often, but he'll get a few catches if he can make the roster. I think he's saying that he's a really good blocking wide receiver. And that goes That goes to Emilio knows that. Blake B reiterates that, says McDaniel is a smart dude. He was copying Goody's work and listening to his buddy LaFleur regarding the Bows. I mean, I don't think it's unfair to say, Clayton, that most NFL coaches, it's not that they copy, but they definitely
they copy,
emulate, right?
Bro,
You just
we seen it last year. Do you guys remember the play to Luke Musgrave? Remember the double fake swing?
That's my favorite play of the whole year. Yep.
I'm trying to think of who ran it. It was the week before. It was either Sean McVay or it was Kyle Shanahan ran it. And then all of a sudden it pops up in our playbook. And then we tried to go back to it later in the year and it didn't work. I don't know if you remember that. Double pump, seam covered. Jordan Love's like, what the hell do I do now? It's just so cool to see that stuff because it's a copycat league, man. There's no doubt about it. What happened when Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, that whole coaching tree started to have success? You know, Kyle Shanahan obviously paved the way with the wide zone boot and how he kind of evolved his dad's offense. And then he breaks off. Sean McVay gets the job with the LA Rams. He takes them to the Super Bowl. And now everybody's going, if there's a coach in the league that has any kind of ties or any kind of history with Sean McVay, bring him in for an interview. Yeah. That's the future of the game, right? And now you see some of the most successful teams in the league are running Kyle Shanahan's offense. So nothing wrong with copying, man. I'm telling you. That goes for business too, man. It goes for anything in life. I'm just telling you. Like, someone else has already done it and they've been successful. All you have to do is duplicate it. That's it. That's all you got to do. And it's not illegal to do that. Like, I don't know, man. Some people let their pride get in the way, like they try to reinvent the wheel rather than go, hey, this works. Let's do it. So That's definitely how the league works. All right, Jacob, what else you got started there, big dog? Josh Vallandigham, again, another 5 membership.
You know, Josh, I'm hope that you're all right. I hope that you haven't just been trying to force through like a glitch or something like that, and then tomorrow you wake up and you're like, oh no. I've seen that before for sure. Ron
I wonder if Tim's in that padded room they're talking about.
Ron says
Josh Vallandingham's card. He may have.
Ron says, wait, Tim's not here. Has anyone checked the padded room today? I'm assuming he has to be talking about maybe the kicker talk. I think that may be the only, and Chewy says he's in a psych ward with the suit and tie. At least he looks good, And then Mr. Fred McFarley says, rostered 60 ends. Okay. Only one plays special teams. Not okay, in Mr. Fred McFarley's opinion. What do you all think about that? Real quick, I'll just say that I think that the special teams game is different than it used to be. Whereas we need more athletic, maybe more lighter type dudes that are fielding this new kickoff. Am I crazy about that?
No, not at all. I think that, if you think about it, where are the spots he's going to be? It'd be on punt cover, maybe punt return, and then, kick return, kick cover. He's not going to go on field goals or anything like that. So he's got 4 chances to get out there. If he's not faster than Tyron Hopper, if he's not faster than Zane Anderson, if he's not faster than KO, then why are we going to put him out there? If he can't block better than your boy Brenton, why are we going to put him out there? So, I think it kind of all just falls on if he's athletic enough, if it's going to happen. But I don't see a problem with it. I don't think.
No. All right. Let's see, Jacob. I believe it was Andy A. Pack had a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to hit that one you just had, Jacob?
No, you're good. I got a few lined up here.
Andy A. Pack says, thoughts on Matt LaFleur answering the question today, saying it wasn't a question for him, but for Rich instead. Now, some people are going, what are you talking about, Andy? This is what he's talking about right here. Matt Schneidman had tweeted out, Matt LaFleur on getting Braden Narvison acclimated to kick week 1. That's not a question for me. That's a question for Rich Bisaccia. You just got to come in and perform. I don't know how else to put it. Could the kicker situation affect play calling? Absolutely, 100%. No different than when you go out and there's inclement weather. So if you're not feeling comfortable, and again, we talked about this pre-game, you take the kickers out there with the current weather situation and the field conditions, and you have them test their range, right? And you get a good feel for, okay, is he on today? Is he off today? What's his range? What's the yard line that we need to, okay, once we reach this point, we're in field goal range type of thing. But I know many people, and I'm not saying you did this, Andy. Many people took this as that a shot at Rich. Is there problems? No. It's the reality is they brung in Rich Bisaccia to fix the special teams. Rich Bisaccia handpicked Anders Carlson. There's no secret to that, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like he handpicked Braden Narvison as well. So they're giving him the reins to that. And Matt's, I feel like he's answering the question truthfully and saying, yeah, man, if a guy's currently on a cold streak, we're probably going to go for it on 4th down, right? But what's your all's take on that? Because that was a fascinating conversation on Twitter. And Andy, thank you so much for bringing that up.
If I may interject quick, I brought this up the other day just because I thought, hey, what up, Murph? What's up? I think that it's fair to ask because we brought it, I think, just maybe last night, where it was like, does Rich Bisaccia have too much unfettered power? Does he have too much control over the team? Are they putting too much trust in him? I mean, I'm not going to speak on that right now because I don't know if we have enough body of work, but I will say, Clayton, you just said, it sounds like he had complete control over who this or that person was and how they were going to use him. So in that fact, at this point, if I'm being 100% honest with myself and with the organization, my ROI with Rich Bisaccia is not good. It's not where I would expect it to be with how much praise he gets. I would like to see that change this year, and like you said, hopefully this new kicker just kind of unlocks some sort of, I don't know, man, new success with the special teams, because right now I haven't seen it. Coach Len just said this right now, like just a second ago. He goes, Rich has too much on his plate, assistant head coach and special team coordinator.
Great point.
That could be a thing that I haven't thought about, man. I mean, I think that he has a lot of stuff going on right now.
Yeah.
Goes on to say that's asking a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that it's a rich question because I honestly was laughing when Matt said that whole interaction, the way it kind of came off. But I think that, yeah, it is a rich question. Get him in front of the camera, answer it, and I think, you kind of move forward with it. We made the decision. It wasn't Anders. It's not going to be Greg. So we have to move forward with what we have, right? I don't know how they're going to keep paying attention to what's back there. We got to kind of get this train moving because the dude's going to have to kick for us in Brazil. Like Matt was talking about, they're even starting practice, I think today, or it's either today or tomorrow. They're treating as their Sunday, and then it'll be Monday. Then they have their day off. So I would assume they're going to be heading out there kind of soon, and that they were even going to be running some night practices that are they're going to run like meetings in the morning. They'll send them out for a little bit, then they'll come back and run a night practice to try to get used to the time frame and under the light sort of thing for Brazil.
Yeah. For you guys listening on the pod, we'll pick up on the other side with hour 2. Thank y'all so much. All right, so my big take on Rich Bisaccia here and this whole situation, it kind of goes with the defensive coordinator. And I know people are going to, oh, God, Clayton, don't you do this. I'm going to do it. Do y'all remember when we were screaming fire Dom Capers? Y'all remember when we were screaming fire Mike Pettin? You remember when we were screaming fire Joe Barry?
Oh, yeah.
There's one thing that hasn't changed through those 3 coordinators. The way that we draft players. Goody has taken over, yes, but he is a Ted Thompson disciple. Now, I think Goody has proven, I don't even know if he's proven this or not. He's a little more aggressive in free agency than Ted was. But then again, you can look back when Ted was here and he signed Charles Woodson. He signed him for pennies on the dollar, don't get me wrong. But he made some key free agent signings there too, right? Ryan Pickett, So I say this because if there's a way that you're drafting where you're really keying in on these elite athletes and maybe not the guys that do the fundamental, that's the down. We would all agree that's the downside, right? To drafting elite athletes is, if they were the perfect football player, everybody would be going after him. Why did Quay Walker last as long as he did, right? And I know we took him in the first round. Edgerrin Cooper, why did he last all the way into the second? He's got elite talent. There's no doubt about it, but it's the FBI. Is it there? Is it, the fundamentals of the game? Why did he not go in the first round if he's just this absolutely perfect prospect? So we tend to lean towards those elite athletes, and I'm not saying I disagree with it, but what's the downfall of that? You might have a lot of missed tackles. You might have a lot of blown coverages. Darnell Savage, perfect example.
Yes.
Dude's RAS was through the freaking roof. He was cheeks. We could all agree now he's cheeks, right? He's gone now. He's cheeks.
Do you think it's fair to say, Clayton, that he was drafting on measurables versus, like you said, FBI? The perfect Ted Thompson / Goody, specifically Goody, would never draft Kyle Hamilton. You know what I mean?
Right. No, and I think
Brian Branch, he'd never draft him. He doesn't fit the criteria
because maybe it doesn't meet that certain measurable. And again, this isn't to knock on them. It's working. Youngest team in the league.
Right.
Boat racing the Dallas Cowboys in the first round of the playoffs. But there are things that we have missed on. And again, I'm just saying either we suck really bad as an organization, multiple head coaches suck at hiring defensive coordinators, or maybe there's something to the way we draft. Now, you're going, what the heck's that got to do with Rich Bisaccia? Like, I'm going to explain it to you. With the West Coast offense run teams, the teams that are geared towards the West Coast offense, that's what we are. We're a West Coast offense team. We have been since the early 90s, okay? Ron Wolf comes in. He hires Mike Holmgren. That was West Coast offense 101. We go from Mike Holmgren for a short stint to, I can't remember his name now, the defensive coordinator. It's escaping me. It doesn't really matter. We jump right into Mike Sherman. That was more of a power run, gap-centric type offense. And then we go right back to West Coast offense with Mike McCarthy. We get another Super Bowl, right? And then we go from Mike McCarthy to Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur's coaching tree is West Coast offense. It's wide zone boot. West Coast offense is what you would classify it as, okay? So when you build a West Coast offense team, and this is Michael Lombardi and Bill Parcells 101, the downside to building a team that's geared toward a West Coast offense is you're typically not as good on special teams. Now, I don't think this applies when it comes specifically to the kicker. It's simple. Put the ball through the uprights. That's all you got to do. But when it comes to us botching special teams, giving up kick returns for touchdowns, bad snaps in the NFC Championship, punters being horrible at holding in the past, snappers not – you're building a team around a West Coast offense as opposed to a more rounded team, which is like what Belichick does. Belichick, listen, those last few years, obviously – it went straight into the ground. But the reason he had success for so many years is he truly treated special teams like it was that third aspect of it. It was 1/3 of the game. And it really is when you think about it. So they're more geared towards, hey, we need to focus on special teams as opposed to the way we build rosters. And I say that because this is like the 4th special teams coordinator in a row that we're going, is he? I don't know, man. I just can't figure it out. What's the one thing that's been the same the whole time? The way we build a roster. And again, I could be completely wrong, but that's just what comes to mind for me. Now, I will say this about Rich Bisaccia. There's no more bad snaps. There's no more punts getting blocked. You guys agree with that, right? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, we don't have punts getting blocked. Knock on wood. Let's hope it don't happen this year. Right. But on top of that, how often do we see us giving up a punt or a kick return for a touchdown? It seems like those are few and far between now. So it really, you're controlling the most important aspect, although the numbers may suggest Rich hasn't done a good job. I 100% believe Rich has done the best job of the last 4 or 5 special teams coordinators we've had. Sean Slocum, you guys remember that?
Oh my Lord. That was
bad. Maybe want to throw up on my shoes every Sunday.
He was that was real bad.
Anyway.
I think that's a fair argument, Clayton, it really is. The only thing that I'd push back on a little bit is that if you are that great of a coach, if you have supposedly the best return man in the league, our special teams shouldn't be where they are right now. And that's, but like you said, he can't do anything other than walk into a room and say, oh, I was given this player, that player, and that player. All right, well, I'm going to get the best out of you 3. And that's basically all I can do. So, right. I know I'm talking out both sides of my mouth because I basically just said he doesn't have enough, or he has too much control of the team. I don't think he's got any control over who's getting signed and who's not. He probably has an ear to that, saying, I've watched this guy's game. I've seen this. Yeah. I highlighted that.
That was the coach I was trying to think of. AFAM said I was having a good day until I read the name Ray Rhodes. It was Ray Rhodes. Listen, Ray Rhodes was kind of – we ain't got time to go into it. My goodness. But
yeah, we do. We're going Ray 2 Rhodes, hours nowadays.
Yeah. You don't believe me. Ask my wife. She's madder than hell. Ray Rhodes was a really good defensive coordinator. And when Mike Holmgren left, he got thrust into taking over the team in 99. I wasn't a Packer fan then, But hearing people like Jason Wilde talk about it, who covered the team, it sounded like they were a team that were reading their press clippings, and Ray Rhodes was the type of coach that was like, all right, I'm going to treat you like adults. I expect you to handle the responsibility to do what you're going to do. And Jason Wilde was like, those knuckleheads that you can't coach those guys, like Brett Favre, Mark Chmura, these guys. Mark Chmura digging Taco Bell receipts out of a garbage can to see how much Gilbert Brown ate. That's the guys Ray Rhodes was going, you guys are mature. You can handle this. No, they couldn't, Ray. No, they couldn't. So no Ray Rhodes slander in here, but we can't deny that 99 was bad, fam. I'm with you on that. Go ahead, Jake. If you want. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Emilio. What do you got?
Well, I was just saying, to the point about Goody, he was talking in his presser about how about how Goody is a little shorter with the special teams sort of leash. He said that he's a little bit quicker to make that reaction, the reaction move, whereas Ted did wait out a little bit longer. I think he was talking, it was year 5 for Mason, and Goody had just came in, and then Mason was kicking at like 60% or something, and then he had one year worse after that, and then started getting better. But he said that Ted was definitely a little bit more willing to wait on that, and Goody said that he's a little bit quicker to make those moves.
Yeah, for sure. Jacob, you want to go ahead and clean the rest of the chat up, or did you have to step away, man?
I think he stepped out.
I think he stepped away. So
unbelievable, Jacob.
Let's just sit here in silence till he comes back and make it so awkward. You want to? Like, glad you could join us, Jacob.
I'll take over. Yeah,
I got you right here, man. Romero Hill in the chat says, "Salute, fellas. Question: what channel is the Eagles Packers game coming on? You're not going to be happy, sir." Emilio, do you know the answer?
It's Peacock, isn't it?
It's on Peacock. That is correct. Anytime there's been football on Peacock, people have gotten extremely pissed off. Maybe Romero won't, but yeah, to the best of my knowledge, it's going to be on Peacock. So make sure listen. If you're an Office fan like me, you got Peacock.
Yeah. Oh, you have to.
The Office on loop, man. So
yep. Super fans.
John Schmidt in the chat, appreciate you, buddy. He says, somewhere I heard Bo Melton had a great comment today. Didn't think about this. Is the first time he's made a 53. So happy for him. Yeah, John, I think he said it yesterday, if I remember correctly. He said this is his third crack at it, and he finally broke into the active 53. And what you've seen with Bo is he made a practice squad. He makes a practice squad again, and then he becomes the first receiver for the Packers last year to get 100 yards receiving in the game. And he was a practice squad activation on game day. You know how you can elevate them 3 times straight from the practice squad on game day? He was the first receiver, may have been the only one last year. Of course, there may have been someone go over 100 in the Cowboys game. I'm not sure. But the reason I say that is because with Bo Melton, he makes a practice squad, and then year 2, he makes a practice squad again, and then he makes an impact in the games, right? And then year 3, he makes a 53-man roster. When you see a guy taking those incremental steps, it's a huge sign for improvement, man. Absolutely huge. So I think it was the right move keeping Bo Melton and Malik Heath over Grant DuBose. I think that either one of those guys you cut, looking back on it, they're probably going to get signed to an active roster too. Bo Melton, game time experience, regular season experience. Malik Heath, he's your goon. He's that dude that when your guys need a breather and you want to run a rock for a series, put him in there at wide receiver, and you essentially got an extra tight end out there blocking.
Right, and when the ball comes his way, he can make a play on it. The dude is got quick hands, fast eyes to it.
Yeah, so you can play that RPO game off of him, essentially, right? So, there's some players that, like maybe you don't feel that comfortable with Grant DuBose being in that RPO, whether it's a RPO bubble or the RPO arrow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think it's cool that he made it. Drew D, imagine having Neverson. So that's a new kicker, right? Is that the name? Is that right?
I don't think it's spelled that way, but basically, yeah.
Narvison. Okay, I had to look back through my notes. We're all trying to figure it out too. I was going, damn, if I had it wrong the whole time, but I look at a tweet there, so we're good. Imagine being Narvison, and all of a sudden you're the Packers starting kicker going to Brazil. Jacob, man, that's as my baseball coach once said when he put me into a varsity game when I was in the 8th grade. They said that he crossed his legs in the dugout and looked at it. He said, "Look at Clayton out there, boys. I bet you couldn't drive a nail up his butt with a jar of Vaseline." Narveson going into Brazil as the kicker. Imagine if the game's on the line and you got him out there trying to kick the game when he kicked, man.
Oh man!
In addition to that, too, Prince just highlights it here. He goes, he heard today that the bus ride from the hotel to the stadium in Brazil will be 2.5 hours. Old Bradley's going to have quite a long time to think about how that Vaseline would work its way up there. So,
all right, no more Vaseline talk. See, I know better than this. What am I
doing? And I think someone else in the chat was saying that it's a 10-hour flight. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if we can confirm that, but
I did see that. Same time zone though, so hopefully not too crazy.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, Ben Holden in the chat said, "Tape tells all. RAS and combine shows the elite athletes less chance for bus." So, all right, got it. And then the last one you got marked here. So Turtle says the Eagles Packers preview had everyone picking the Eagles winning. That is what we want, So Turtles. Everyone under the sun picking the Eagles. That's what I want. I think last I heard they were 2-point favorites. So keep it going. Make it a 6-point favorite. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Emilio. What you got, man?
No, that 6-point favorite, man. I wouldn't be. I don't know if I'm signing up for that.
I love it, man. I love it. Any kind of bulletin board material that you can give my team, sign me up. Sign me up. So, all right. Let's keep it moving here. Appreciate everybody in the chat, man. It's absolutely lit. If y'all would take a quick second, hit that like button for us. We got a ton of people in here. Thank y'all for making us part of your evening. Let's look at the total practice squad. Y'all ready? To the best of my knowledge, this is up to date. Deadfish says, yes, it's a long flight. The one time zone east of Eastern Standard Time.
I think it's 10 o'clock there, or it's about to be 10 o'clock. So that makes sense.
Got it. All right.
Not too bad.
So Matt Schneiden tweeted out, add wide receiver Jalen Wayne to the practice squad, 4 spots left. So there's still 4 spots open. And he quote tweeted himself, this is your practice squad as it sits right now, unless something's changed since we went live. The Green Bay Packers have released kicker Greg Joseph and signed the following players to the practice squad. Defensive line Deslin Alexander, quarterback Sean Clifford, defensive lineman James Esther, kicker Alex Hill, that's the NFL International Player Pathway Program, wide receiver Julian Hicks, guard/tackle Donovan Jennings, cornerback Kalen King, thank sweet baby Jesus that he made it to the practice squad, running back Nate McCrary, running back Ellis Merriweather. That didn't surprise me one bit that we carried 2 running backs because with Marshawn Lloyd kind of being a little bit up in the air, is he going to be ready, is he not, type thing. You may have to activate one of those guys. Cornerback Robert Rochelle. Jacob, I know that fires you up. Guard/center Lasita Smith. We got tight end Messiah Swenson. General Manager Brian Gutekunst announced the transactions Wednesday. All 12 players signed to the practice squad spent time with the Packers during the 2024 training camp. Quarterback Malik Willis will wear number 2 for the Packers, and Carrington Valentine has moved to number 24. Jacob, you got the floor, sir. What do you think about this practice squad here? There's a few names that we're missing, your Christian Welches, your Grant DuBoses, that do hurt a little bit, but overall, I'm pretty happy with it, man.
Yeah, a few things that I was surprised about there. I really love the fact that we got Kalen King back. I don't know what to think of that because with how many guys got sharked off our team, it's odd to me that nobody thought Kalen King deserved to get snagged. Hopefully he's got an even bigger chip now to add to that shoulder because the guy just went from a 1st-round pick to a 7th-round pick to a guy that got cut from the team to a guy that didn't get picked up by 31 other teams. And now basically we're going to recycle him and hope that he, has something to show us and prove. I really like the fact that we brought back Lasita Smith. I thought that he played quite well. A little shocked that Joe Wilson isn't back on the team. I thought that
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I thought that he maybe would be a front runner for being that tight end 3-4.
It's strange, isn't it?
Messiah Swenson, though, like the more I remember, he was a guy that I can't remember where he was out of, maybe like Iowa State or something like that. But he was actually a decently ranked guy in the draft, one that I thought would have been drafted. And I believe he was a UDFA, if I'm not mistaken. So I like that. I like McCrary. I think Donovan Jennings would have made the team had he been somewhat healthy throughout this whole preseason. And I like Julian Hicks quite a bit. So, and then obviously Sean Clifford coming back. I don't know how I feel about it, man. It's tough between him. If you really force me to pick one of the two, talent wise, I have to go Pratt, but I just don't know. I'm not in charge of a multi-million-dollar organization, thank God.
Fred McFarley with the super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. He said, I got to run. Thanks, fellas. No, thank you, Fred. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you for supporting the channel.
Thank you, man.
Amelia, what do you think about the practice squad, man? What sticks out to you here, dude? Anybody you wish made it? Anybody you think shouldn't have made it here?
Yeah, hey, I'm happy that Kalen King's back. I was a little surprised, like Jacob was saying about Messiah Swinson, but because he's played 30 snaps for us in the preseason, so it's not like there was a big sample size. He's kind of more of a a Mercedes Lewis type build, but I'm cool with it. I'm happy my man Glover passed this, got past this point, but we needed some backup, so I'm totally fine with Smith and Jennings. We need guys that can play both positions. We got two there, and then like you said, the double up on the running back. I think that's going to be by committee for sure this year. I mean, even if we don't know about Lloyd or anything, we'll move him up and down or not dress and things like that. I think we need it, and I think it's a decent set, really.
Yeah. For me, Jacob kind of hit on the quarterback issue there, or situation, I should say. Sean Clifford knows the system better than any other quarterback on the roster right now, right? So, obviously, I think they probably would have brought Michael Pratt back. The fact that Michael Pratt, if I remember correctly, he was from Florida, or at least he played in Florida more recently, so that makes sense for him to go to Miami. So if the Packers wanted him on the practice squad and Miami wanted him on the practice squad, I imagine it's Tampa. Okay. Yeah. So I imagine you would pick Tampa over Green Bay, seeing it was closer to his more recent home. I'm not sure.
What did he say in his when he got drafted? Grab your coats or something. Go to Green Bay. Right. All right, take those coats back, man. It's time to get another swimsuit, and we're going down to Tampa Bay. And
so you got Sean Clifford, who's got the most experience of all the backups. Let's hope Malik Willis soars past him really, really quick. But it's really cool that you traded a 7th-round pick for a guy who was, like we said, on the consensus big board, was a top 15 player when he came out in the draft. Now, I know he fell all the way to the 3rd round, and some people roll their eyes at the consensus big board. I completely understand and relate to that. But a 3rd-round pick, this guy had a ton of upside. He's an elite athlete. He's unbelievable with his feet, and Goody actually talked about that earlier today. So you've got him on the active roster. He's protected. You've got Sean Clifford, who makes it to the practice squad and can be elevated at any point to be your backup quarterback, and I think that's their plan, at least early on. So if Malik Willis, 2-3 weeks into the season starts to grab a hold, guess what you can do? If you need to, you can cut Sean Clifford loose, although you might want him as your scout team quarterback because he does have some mobility there too. That's the other thing with Malik Willis. Think about this. When they go in and they're preparing for a team that's got a mobile quarterback, Jalen Hurts, maybe they can utilize Malik Willis in his elite athleticism this week in practice to prepare them for a mobile quarterback like Jalen Hurts, right? That might be a good little test there. And I know they're not a mirror image of each other as far as the style of player they are, but he's definitely got, like I said, elite athleticism, Malik Willis. So I kind of like what they did here. Again, there was somebody in the chat. I agree. Harry Cheese, the name always cracks me up. Big having a mobile quarterback as your backup because you can make things happen, right? When you can make a little chicken salad out of chicken poo, you know what I mean? If you need to. There was another comment here too. This one right here I wanted to hit on. John Schmidt said, I think the only real surprise about practice squad was no Caleb Jones or Tenuta. I agree with that. Doesn't that kind of surprise you guys?
Bigly. Yes.
We just got one offensive line right now, right? One offensive lineman?
No, there's two right there.
Let's see.
Smith and Jennings. But I guess my thing was how long has Jones been here? Or like how long have we tried to
That's a good
work him out? I mean, the dude's had a bunch of chances. I want to say it's year 3, but I could be wrong. But
I think that's right. Yeah.
I mean, so even still, that's a decent amount of time. You've seen him in a lot of preseason games. You've seen him in practice. You've seen him through the off season, and it's not like they hadn't, tried to train him up right. So I'm fine with getting a couple new names in here, and let's see. Like Goody was saying, he's for the first 3 to 4 weeks, they're going to be churning the bottom of that roster. That's going to be all these things are going to change. All these names are going to change just because they need to see who's out there.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man.
Do you guys think
So
there's
again-
any truth to this? Sorry, Clay. Ben Holden
Yeah.
says, are there 4 more spots on the practice squad? Jones might still make it. Do you think? Is that possible?
Talking about Caleb Jones.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's probably possible. He hasn't signed anywhere else, right?
Would you rather have Tenuta or Jones? I'll go first, Tenuta.
You said Tenuta?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably say
think
Tenuta as well.
Caleb Jones just looks so big. I feel bad for him. Like, as he's literally crouching down, I'm like, oh my, it just looks horrible.
His lower legs are like, no, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't look good. That's not gonna hold up. It reminded me of that picture. I'm telling you, it reminded me of that picture of Jay-Z when he was in shorts that day. You guys seen that? Somebody moved it. They said Jay-Z. I'll find it. Anyway, hit the chat. I gotta find that. It's hilarious. Go ahead. That's what you get here.
Dennis Shook says Jacob Goots said the remaining spots will be filled by guys that were on other teams. I have not seen that quote, but you know, that is what it is.
Yeah, he left it open for the 1,000 people that are, because after you get through all these people that come through, or that don't get picked up, there's another option for him to grab.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. M. Smitty says United lists a flight of 14 hours commercial from Green Bay to Sao Paulo, Brazil. Oh boy, I'll tell you what, I'll be drinking quite a few whiskeys on that flight. I'll tell you what.
You think they're serving whiskeys on the team flight? What do you guys think? You think they got a little?
Maybe
Depends
some whiskey cheddar cheese, but I don't know about any.
You think they got those little juice barrels? Remember when you were little, had the metal foil? It probably.
Oh, the hugs.
Yeah.
Those were so good.
Here you go. This is what I was talking about. While look at this. Drop that comment down. It says, drop that comment down, Jacob. It says, Jay-Z's legs. Jay-Z's
Is that
legs,
real?
That's real. Jay-Z's legs look like the preacher threw some oil on him and said, "Stand up and walk, son." It's bad, man. That's pretty darn bad. I ain't gonna lie. So that's kind of the same vibe I get with Caleb Jones below the knee. I'm like, man, that don't look like that's gonna hold up, Hallscat. It just don't. Let's double brace that sucker. You know what I mean?
And how big is Caleb Jones?
He's huge.
Like 350.
Yeah,
So
he's like 7'6", 350.
yeah, you can't base that weight on toothpicks, brother.
But Kadeem Telford's 6'8", 322, and my man Glover is 6'6", 323. So are we mad?
Says, "Damn, skip leg day."
6'9", Bates said. Okay, so we lost 1 inch and we replaced him with Telford, and then we have Glover replacing who? Royce. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
It's
Just
370.
it's crazy.
Holy,
That's a big boy. Bates says the current line for FanDuel for the Eagles-Packers game is Eagles are getting 2.5 points. Okay, cool.
Good.
I'll take
Make
that.
it 7.5.
Yes.
And I'll take the points all day long and twice on Sunday. You know what I'm saying?
Last one I got marked here for you, Clay, would be Mr. Mikey Riggs. Sao Paulo has an excellent subway system, but then again, I haven't been since January 1987. It may have changed. I'm gonna venture that
They've got electricity now. They got running water and everything. It's great.
Tell you what.
Yeah. All right, let's move it along here. Any other chats, Jake?
No.
All right, here we go. Josh, I'm afraid to look at the chat. All right, drop that down for me if you don't care. Josh Jacobs. All right, so ML Football tweeted out, Packers running back Josh Jacobs is the only running back in the league with over 3,000 total yards in the last 30 games. Green Bay has a top back in the league to go with their high-powered passing game with Jordan Love eyeball emoji. So pretty wild stat to think about. 3,000 total yards in the last 30 games. And someone had commented that he only had 3.2 yards or whatever it was last year per carry. And I love how they just cherry-picked his worst career year in a year that the offense was completely in shambles and they loaded the box. His career average per carry is actually 4.2. So many people are saying if you're in fantasy, grab Josh Jacobs because he is going to get a ton of snaps. The thing that worries me a little bit about Josh, and it's not specifically about Josh Jacobs. It's just about the running backs in general. Is we know Emmanuel Wilson's weak spot is pass protection. So are they going to have to be a little bit cautious about when they have Josh Jacobs being pulled out of the game or when he's being put into the game specifically? Is that going to take away from some of his first down carries, knowing that if you get yourself in a passing situation, he's got to be out there on the field to help pass protect? Does that make sense, Emilio? Do you understand what I'm
No
asking?
block, no rock.
Exactly.
No, so
it worries me a little bit, but because Emmanuel, and who knows, maybe Emmanuel Wilson can button that up. I hope so. You guys know I'm a huge Emmanuel Wilson fan, but that does kind of a little bit. But Josh Jacobs is going to be a dog. What do you guys think? Go ahead, Emilio. Sorry.
I do think that he is going to be a dog, like you said. I think that he's actually going to be able to not have the brunt of the team put on his shoulders. I think he's going to be able to, draw that play action, things like that, and use him in the passing game. I think Matt was even talking about how he felt bad for AJ because they had to plan a lot of sidecar pony package type things that they had lined up in specifically beyond the running game, specifically the receiving game that they had planned out for him. I think Josh Jacobs probably takes some more of that onto his plate now, just because if they didn't have it all planned out for, Emmanuel Wilson, then I think Josh Jacobs is going to have to step up, and his receiving game is going to be a big part of what he does, just because I think Matt's going to move the ball all over, a delayed play action and him slip out sort of thing. I think the sky's the limit for that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jacob. How you feeling about your boy Josh Jacobs here, man?
I'm quite excited. I think that we are sleeping on the fact that Josh Jacobs could be an absolute top 2, top 3 back. I don't even want to be a homer and say he's going to be the best back, the best of our time. That people just are sleeping on the fact that he's a better running back and a well-rounded running back than people are giving him credit for. Everybody likes to just talk on his last season and say blah blah blah. Dude, the Raiders organization was trash last year. They had no. What would you always say about farts in a fan factory? They had no direction, or they were going wherever the heck he was just sitting there with no quarterback. Davante Adams is out there just being like, can somebody just chuck me the ball? Please. Just somebody give me the ball.
Somebody help me.
They got no coaching. They got
wash your butt, man. That's it. That's all.
Well, you talking about regretting that move. Oh my God.
Oh man.
It gets worse every year, Jacob. Every year it gets
100%.
And are you mad right now that he's not here on the team that we didn't pay him that money and that we have the receivers we do and that we had to decide on Malik Heath, Grant DeBose, and Bo Melton?
Yeah, don't care. Sorry.
Now if you're saying
sorry.
Here's the thing. If Davante Adams was on the Packers roster last year, listen, we're a much better team. Let's don't kid ourselves, right? But I understand what you're saying, Emilio. It's like, we're in a pretty good spot right now. Pretty good spot. So Drew D says Davante Adams is definitely regretting leaving Green Bay. He'll never admit it, but yeah, I would have to side with Drew.
I think he's almost admitted it. He's honestly been
like,
for the right price, I'll go back. Basically,
that receiver show that they had, man, where they were behind the scenes with, man, he did not look like, oh Lord. He said, "Get me out of here!" Didn't he? He said,
throwing his helmet. He's like, "I've never in my life been blocked like that." Like the scheme, basically, he says that, like, this is day one, like BS crap. Like anyways. Yeah, he was probably excited to.
You marked it. I've got to get it in here. But Respect Orange says, "Hope the players have hobo stab insurance." Let's move it right along here real quick. Dennis Shook says, "We lost a lot." We lost a lot of pass pro, losing A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. Dennis, you are spot on, sir.
That is true.
Aaron Jones might have been the best in the league at it, man. I mean, he was
for his size too.
I know he did a lot of this, Emilio.
Mm-hmm.
That boy can block, man. He can block.
I know it.
So
we need that. We do need it out of Jacobs, 100%.
Yeah, got to have it, and hopefully Marshawn Lloyd can do that too when he's so. Do you guys think he'll be ready week 1?
No.
I have a hard time believing it too, man. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it, but if we're not going to practice it, Matt's not going to implement it into the game plan for they're working on their game plan right now, right? If
Right.
tomorrow's Sunday, Monday, they have Tuesday off, they don't have a lot of time. They're already set, and Matt said it before that they were working on it before the Ravens game. They were working on the Eagles, lineup and stuff. So I just don't think that's something they're going to change up this late.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys would take a quick second, hit that like button for us on YouTube. We appreciate you. If everyone just took a second and hit the like button, we would have over 200 likes. That would be a new record, I believe, on the channel for one video. So let's see if we can make that happen. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Let's see here. Ron Sample with the super chat says, Dobb laughs when asked if Jacobs is a drop-off. Thank you so much for the super chat, Ron. We appreciate it. Yeah, everybody was talking about, I think someone else talked about it here too. Yeah, here we go. ZZ in the show. Oh my God, look at that dog. Y'all remember when that dog was doing the comedic? What's his name?
Oh God, Triumph.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Right?
That was a good old. That was back when comedy was comedy.
For me to poop on.
Dobbs' reaction to being asked if Jacobs is a drop-off tells me he's going to be good. Couldn't contain his laughter. That's what Ron was talking about with the super chat. Dobbs laughed when asked if Jacobs is a drop-off. So they know something. And Jordan Love was actually on. I stumbled onto an interview today. It was crazy. I went through all my pods, and I was like, all right, man, what can I listen to? You know what? Let's go to WDUZ live radio in Green Bay, see what they're talking about. It was Jim Rome. I'm like, man, I ain't listening to Roman forever. I'm not really interested. Up next, interview, Jordan Love. I was like, what are the chances?
Oh, crap.
Unbelievable interview. And he talked about briefly how he had Dobbs on his podcast before to his live radio show. And they asked Dobbs, how do you think this offense is going to look? And Dobbs was speechless. I don't know if you guys seen it. He went, pack his back. That's all I got to say. Like they are really, really confident. Really confident. So I'm
here to tell you, pack his back.
You did. You heard it from a fan.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not Tim. I forgot to.
Tim is a man, dude. Tim's got like 17 fingers or something. I don't know.
I don't know how he did it.
Thank you for the super chat, Ron. Appreciate you, buddy. Magic One said Jacobs will run by you and then run over you. I think I almost said I think there's a little more power to his running game than Aaron Jones, but I don't know, man. Aaron Jones could run through some cats too, couldn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't really shy away from too much. The thing I notice about Jacobs the most, he's a little more patient of a runner than Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones was just kind of jump out there and, all right, wherever the hole is, we'll find it. Let's just get out here and make something happen. Jacobs is a little more premeditated, and he's a little more patient, kind of how Le'Veon Bell was when he was in his prime type guy. But, he's definitely got some power to his running game as well. And the big thing is his ability to catch the ball. Listen, Aaron Jones did good catching the ball during his time in Green Bay as a whole. But that last year, that was not good, bub. He wasn't that great in the passing game. On the ground, absolutely. So I think you will see a bit of an upgrade. And I think that might have had something to do with Brian Gutekunst choosing Josh Jacobs and being okay with moving on from Aaron Jones. But, anything else you guys want to add to the Josh Jacobs talk here?
Yeah, 100%. This is most important, and I thank you guys for giving me the platform to say this. Ziz says the Bears are going to be really good this year. For me to poop on.
That was pretty good, Jake. That was pretty good.
Too.
All right, CJN said, fun fact for comment of the night, Jim Rome is a huge fan of Wisconsin and has a cabin in Eagle River. Yes, he loves Wisconsin. Loves Wisconsin. I remember listening to Jim Rome and Tony Bruno. They were like my first experience with sports talk in the early 2000s, pioneers in sports talk.
Do you remember when he first came, when I first realized who Jim Rome was? He had a show on ESPN called Jim Rome Was Burning. Remember that one? I did not like him. First,
a lot of people did. Yeah.
I did not like the guy, and all of a sudden, in the last 5 years, every time I see stuff he says, I'm like, I like Jim Rome now.
Right?
What happened?
Yeah. I think he's calmed down a lot, And
he used to just be very upfront, be like, Jim Rome is burning, and blah blah. I'd be like,
he's from Cali. Cali's very kind of in your face, with their opinions. We'll just leave it at that. But anyway, cool tweet. Matt Schneider said the Packers are practicing under the lights at Lambeau tomorrow to prepare for Brazil night game. LaFleur, quote, some people are not very happy about that. Alan Johnson. Johnson's the Packers field manager. So he's out there going, you better not tear my damn turf up. But they're gonna be practicing under the lights at Lambeau. If I lived in or around Green Bay, I'm sitting in the parking lot cooking brats during that practice. Emilio's shaking his head. He knows what's up.
100%. I was talking about that earlier. That is awesome. I like that they are practicing that time frame, when they're going to be out there. But two, getting to play under the lights anytime is great. I mean, even family night, that was a practice. That was under the lights. Get them under the lights here. Just get that different energy.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Jacob, about them practicing in Lambeau? I think it's, other than family night, it's pretty much unheard of, right?
Yeah, and I think, like Emilio just said, it's the best to get as much real games type of experience with these younger players, get them used to getting all the nerves out of their system, get them used to being on camera, get them used to being in front of 80,000 and the millions and millions of fans across the country. I'm just saying. One other thing too is once we mentioned Jim Rome. Do you remember the interview he did with Jim Everett?
Dude, yes, I do.
Oh my
he
God,
kept calling me Chris, didn't he? He kept calling me Chris.
Chrissy. And he goes, call me Chrissy one more time. Bro literally tossed the freaking desk and pushed Rome.
He said, I know you've been calling me Chrissy or whatever. And he's like, yeah. And he said, but I bet you won't do it again. He said, I bet you won't say it to my face. He said, well, now we are here. He said, maybe I will. It's a long show. Chrissy, he turned the tape. It was absolute. Have you seen it, Emilio?
I don't think so. No.
Oh my God, I can't show it on there. We'll get hit with a copyright. Go to YouTube as soon as this is done, and just type. Matter of fact, when we end the show, I'll show you before we get off here.
Okay.
It is hilarious. Poor Jim Rome. Oh, Chrissy threw him like a beach ball. It was hilarious, dude. So anyway, I got to kind of respect him for not backing down, though.
No, he goes, I bet you won't. He goes, I bet you I will, Chrissy.
But you want to say it one more time, Chrissy.
Chrissy.
Yeah. He literally grabs him by the collar and just walks him to the ground. It's awesome. All right, last thing here as we get ready to wrap up. This is pretty cool. John Miller tweeted this out at John Miller NBC 26, said a combined 137 and a half sacks with the Green Bay Packers in this photo. Aaron Campman and Clay Matthews getting ready for their Packers Hall of Fame induction tomorrow. So maybe we can watch that on Packers.com somehow. That would be really cool. But when I became a Packers fan, Aaron Campman was a 4-3 DM for him, and he was like the face of that defense. He was the guy on the defensive side of the ball. Now, obviously, when they switched to a 34, things went south. He couldn't make that. We just talked about Aaron Mosby. Looks like, hey, this guy's going to convert really well from a 34 outside linebacker to a 43 defensive end. The opposite effect, Aaron Campman going from a 43 defensive end and sometimes playing kind of that 3 tech that we talk about in the defensive tackle spot. Him switching to a 34 outside linebacker, his knee couldn't handle it. Just an unsung hero, I think, on the Packers. And, of course, Clay Matthews. I mean, my goodness, man. What else can you say about Clay? He was unbelievable to watch.
Emilio, you talk about a guy that has dranken the working man's Gatorade. Aaron Campman.
Yes.
He is a lunch pail, come in, does his job, hits the clock, just happens to just,
punches in, punches out every day at the same time.
A fan right here.
He's there 15 minutes early, stays 30 minutes late.
Exactly.
That's right. Exactly.
Cream rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
That's right, Macho. That's right, sir. All right. Anything else, gents? I think we hit on everything. Let me do this. What's your favorite Clay Matthews moment? Favorite Clay Matthews?
It's got to be the spill it.
Yeah. Which spill it.
Too. I sent you a clip of that, Clayton, the other day. I always saw it where they clipped it where Kevin Green's telling him it's time. But I never saw the point. It's like only 10 seconds before, and he goes, Woody's done. Woody's out.
Oh, yeah.
You need a leader. Nobody's stepping up. You got to step up.
Yeah. And that was the play after he said that, bro.
Yeah.
I think it was the end of the third quarter, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And they go to the TV timeout. And he comes over and he says, everybody's always looking at Wood to be a leader. Well, he's gone. Nobody's stepping up and rallying the effing troops. It's time. It is time. And he goes out there and literally They're coming out of the TV
Spill
timeout.
it, Pickett. Spill it.
He literally looks at him. He said, and this is the beautiful thing. Clay Matthews was an athletic freak, but he was also a tape grinder, big time, right? He wasn't on the Grinder app. He was a tape grinder. Don't get him twisted, all right? This is what Clay – so Clay comes after me and goes, I don't know, guys. Keep in mind, Pittsburgh that year ran a lot of power. They loved to run power run. That was their thing with Mendenhall. He came out and he said, hey, they keep looking over here. I think they're about to run it at me. I think they're about to run a power at me. And what he meant was they were going to have the guard and or the tackle was going to pull in his direction, right? They were going to try to wash him out. So he said, I think they're running at me. So he's telling them that right before the play. And then as soon as they come to the line, he goes, spill it, Pickett, spill it. And what he meant by that, in a 34 front, you're supposed to play those two gaps. What he was telling Pickett was shoot to the inside hip, the inside shoulder, get penetration, and I'm just going to attack the point before that guard can even get out front. So Pickett, you see, right before the ball snap, he shades inside, forgets the two gap, fires into the gap on the inside shoulder. Clay comes up, hits Mendenhall, puts a shoulder pad right on the ball, fumble, recovery. I think it might have been, was it Nick? Who? It was Desmond Bishop that recovered that fumble.
Yep, Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And here's the thing. Desmond Bishop, if I remember correctly, made the roster off that one hit in preseason where I don't know if you guys remember that. Go back and watch it. It's probably a still shot. He hits this cat. His helmet goes one way and his do-rag goes the other. It's unbelievable. But go ahead, Emilio. Talk about Clay for a minute. I'm going to get past these Jay-Z legs, see if I can find that picture.
It was the first jersey I had gotten in a Packers jersey. So I loved Clay growing up. He was the man. But just we're so blessed to have all the talent we've had on these teams and the amount of years that we've been skilled at multiple positions. I think that we are super lucky. So I'm glad that they're still coming around and supporting the team.
Check this one out. You guys remember this one? Dennis Shook says, when 52, obviously Clay, Mr. Matthews, took the ball mid-tackle from Adrian Peterson before he went to the ground and ran it back for a touchdown. Dude, I remember that. The other one I remember very clearly, too, was that I say very clearly as I sit and contemplate, but I believe there was a batted down ball that was basically called dead, or it wasn't called dead. Everybody pretended like it was. Clay bursts in, knocks the dude over, picks up the ball. All of a sudden, the sideline's like, dude, it's a live ball. Take it to the end zone. And then he takes it to the end zone kind of thing. There was another one where he's just like, I don't think people give him a lot of credit for being the fact that he was a shutdown edge. And at the last moment in his career, we asked the guy to move to middle linebacker. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, be a starting middle linebacker. And he played pretty darn good for what we asked him to do. And that's not, that's like the equivalent. We talk about guys moving from left tackle to right tackle. I think that's a bigger ask to ask a edge defender to be, hey, now you're in charge of the whole defense in the middle. Go ahead and do that. Like
that was the year too. We were talking about special teams earlier. That was the year that McCarthy said, I am specifically going to get more involved with special teams. And it did get better. Defense, he said that too, I believe, that year. And the defense actually got a little bit better that year. But here's that hit. This hit, and I can't play the video, but here's a screen grab of it. And it's a little blurry. Desmond Bishop made this hit in the preseason. I remember that year I was standing in Lambeau. This was before, if I remember correctly, it was before Aaron Rodgers' first start as a starting quarterback, Monday Night Football. The Sunday before, I'm in the atrium and we're getting autographs from Antonio Freeman and Robert Brooks. And we're watching football on the screen. And I remember guys talking in the pro shop behind me while we were standing there in line about Desmond Bishop. They said, man, that one hit got him a roster spot. Look at this. Look at the helmet in the upper left and look at the do-rag right up the upper right there. Bro, it was unbelievable. You can find it. Look at my man. He hit him so hard he's smiling. He's back in third grade, bro. Look at him. He's painting a coloring book right now. Kidding me? Unbelievable. Desmond Bishop was
unreal.
Yeah. So, all right. Parting thoughts, guys. Let's get out of here.
Nothing, man. I'm happy we got a practice squad going, getting the shell together. A couple spots left to fill, and on to Brazil.
Yep. There you go. You don't mean to rhyme. You do it all the time, right?
Don't mean to. Oh, wow. Kmart called, said they wanted their connection back, Jacob.
Jacob got caught stealing the internet. All right. The show sucks. Let's get out of here. Emilio, appreciate you. Jacob, I would say I appreciate you, but that's it, man. That's just how
I got you.
For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go, Pack, go.